August the 12th, 2021. Guys, you're looking at close-up images of the Caribbean satellite. What you're looking at now is Tropical Depression Fred. It was downgraded from a tropical storm, and we knew that would happen because it crossed over the Dominican Republic and Haiti overnight. And it stripped back a lot of the higher clouds. You can see that. You're going over. These islands will do that. But the center of circulation now has freed the last, or has cleared the last hurdle as far as interference from land until it comes into the Gulf or either strikes South Florida. So notice right there, it has now cleared that hurdle. Now expanding out to the full Atlantic satellite image, this is not a close-up. We're still watching the second storm here. It is now up to a 60% chance of development, and it's going to go through some of the same paths that we're looking or have been watching Fred go through, if it maintains the current track. If the high pressure weakens somewhat in the Atlantic, it could turn north a little quicker. But we're going to look at the models on this. Again, notice your timestamp below. We're watching both of these storms headed in the same direction. Now, this hasn't been updated since 8 a.m. Eastern this morning. But again, you're looking at Fred, and it's down to 35 miles per hour, again, because of passing over the island. Minimum central pressure is up a little bit, 10-13. Movement west-northwest at 12 knots or 14 miles an hour. And you could tell as it spun off the islands that it had a pretty good clip moving forward. Not a lot of storms wrapped around it yet, but that's what the islands do. We're going to keep a very close eye on it, as we always do. Now, the storm behind that is disturbance number 1, 60% chance of cyclone formation in 5 days. Showers and thunderstorms remain disorganized in association with a tropical wave located about 1,400 miles east of the Lesser Antilles. Environmental conditions are expected to gradually become more conducive for development, and a tropical depression could form by early next week, while the system moves generally westward at 20 miles an hour along the tropical Atlantic. The system is expected to reach portions of the Leeward Islands late Saturday or early Sunday. And guys, that's here. Now, this is a 5-day forecast. And so in 5 days, they're projecting disturbance number 1, they're calling it, to be right here where Fred is. So that's the 17th, and that would be this coming Tuesday, guys. Not far away. We're in Thursday now. You go through the weekend, and we will be dealing with, by the 17th, Fred will have come ashore. So whatever happens, tropical storm, whatever it is, we will be dealing with that. There's tornadoes that are spawned up on the northeast quadrant of the storm. We'll be dealing with that while the second storm is setting where Fred is now, and you won't have but a few days out from there, because we're dealing with 2 days away or a day and a half away, and South Florida is going to be feeling tropical storm or tropical depression force winds. More than likely it'll be tropical storm, because that's what the charts are saying. Now, this is the information that goes along with the National Hurricane Center, but what Sky Tower Radar does, or Fox 13 down in Florida, they will actually add the speed. And on the National Hurricane Center, you'll have the timing and things like that. But here is the now tropical depression. It's moving, again, at about 15 miles an hour. And they're saying here, and this would be Friday, 8 p.m. tomorrow night, back to a tropical storm. Then it's on until it comes ashore, and you can see the gradual increase in speed. By Saturday, it's setting off the west coast of Florida, south of Tampa, as far as center circulation, 45 miles an hour. By Sunday morning, 50-mile-an-hour storm. Again, after it comes ashore, Monday at 8 a.m., it is showing 60 miles an hour. Now, the strongest part would be just right here. You may see it get to 60, 65, unless the storm really starts to build. We've got a lot of heat in this area. We're under these heat advisories and heat warnings now, and it's incredibly hot if you have to go outside in this humidity. We're around 90% here in central Mississippi. I think yesterday we were at 105, 106 as far as real feel, and more than likely we're going to do that again. That's going to be a major problem with the tornadoes. Now, looking at the different models, and that's always important to do because that cone that we just saw includes all of these models from the far west side to the far east side of that cone, especially as it's coming ashore, is the widest point, and that's what these models are showing. You've got still the greatest number that are concentrated in one area is coming in right into the central Florida Panhandle. Again, you do have 1, 2, 3, 4 models that drift, or 5, that drifted past this point, and that would bring you in anywhere from Mobile and the Mobile Bay area back to the Pensacola, Fort Walton area. So anywhere between, again, Mobile Bay, Central Panhandle, you're going to have to pay attention to it. There are a couple models that bring the storm across the southern tip of Florida and all the way across it and back into the Gulf of Mexico, and one throws it into the Atlantic, or actually 2. That dark blue one's very hard to see. But the CTCI models, most of the major ones right now are bringing it still in the same place that the Navy model showed us on day 1. Now, the Navy model has not changed much. What it is recognizing, and it was everyone knew it was going to happen, was that it would weaken overnight crossing over the Dominican Republic, and show as you see it coming through the Florida Straits and back into the Gulf there, it's not appearing as strong as it did in the models yesterday. We'll just have to keep an eye on that also and see what happens. The further offshore of Florida, the more open water this thing is. So if it does skirt South Florida, crosses land, that's going to keep it weak. And that's what the Navy is predicting here. Still same impact point, but notice it does cross the southern tip of Florida, and all the way up into Tampa, it's still half on shore, half in the water, and that's going to keep it feeding. It may not grow into a major storm, but it's going to be feeding the thunderstorms and tornadoes ashore to its right. Also behind it, right here, is disturbance number 1 that is at a 60% chance of development, and it is a much larger area of low pressure right there. Now let's switch to the Canadian model, the CMC. Very similar path, just a little closer to Florida, a little further to the east. You notice right there, as we let it play back, it's going to cross southern Florida again, not the Keys, but the southern tip of Florida. Here it is coming through right up, again, scraping the entire east coast, keeping a foot into the Gulf of Mexico, and that will be an energy source. So it could be just a day, through this weekend, a day or so of damaging storms coming from this thing. Again, you can see disturbance number 1 behind it. Canadian model slightly different, but that's what we're going to be dealing with. Also want to take a look at the Pacific Ocean. Now, this is called the Eastern North Pacific 5-day forecast. Kevin is doing just exactly what we thought. It was going to get further north and start to decline. It is now a post-tropical cyclone. I don't think we got a lot to worry about. The best thing these type storms can do is sometimes throw moisture over into Mexico, Southern California, Arizona, and things like that. But again, Kevin is fading fast. Now, Linda is a Cat 1 hurricane at 75 miles an hour. Central pressures drop to 991. It is a movement slow west-northwest at 7 knots or 8 miles an hour. And again, a hurricane is designed by nature to cool the planet during the summer, depending on if you're in the north or southern hemisphere. So we're dealing with a lot of heat. These things are necessary. Can they be manipulated? A lot of weather can be, according to satellite information and old texts and documents during the research. Sure, it can be. Regardless of that, we still have to deal with tracking them and warning people. But they are designed to cool the planet from keeping it from overheating. It's a balance to keep the oxygen levels, CO2 levels, everything. It cannot overheat because life would become miserable. You would have a series of superstorms if you had a season with maybe one tornado near the end, hurricane near the end. It would probably be devastating, but as they move in these patterns, they help to cool it, and they're still devastating. but it's part of nature. There's nothing we can do about it as far as individuals, but we can keep up with it. But Linda, if we look at this and look at the longer pattern, again, it looks like it's going to, by the time 6 a.m. Tuesday comes around, it's starting to weaken. This is the end of the 5-day forecast, so you're going to see a hurricane move up and then move west by southwest. So Hawaii, you possibly won't have anything to worry about this one. Hawaii is, I know you don't get hit a lot, but we have tracked hurricanes that did come ashore and cross these islands, and it's a good thing to watch it. But it's a strong storm now. It wouldn't be a good time to be in a boat in that area. But other than that, it looks like it's going to be a major cooling event. And this is so near the equator that it needs to happen. But we're watching it, guys. There's a lot going on. You keep an eye on it. We will definitely watch Florida and the Bahamas. But again, it's a heads up. Be safe.